Yeah, and see the thing is, and I think Kanye's biggest thing here, when you talk about Big Sean, Common, and especially John Legend, who was getting it throughout the interview, and I,
Right.
and and I've talked to you about these things maybe offline or even on the show. It's like one of those things, man. Like, dude, I'm not gonna stunt any of my peers or friend or people I call friends and have had personal conversations with. I'm not gonna stunt any of their dreams. If you want to run for president, me personally, I'm voting for you. You my nigga. You know what I mean? I don't know Joe
Yeah,
Biden. I
point
don't.
blank.
Whatever.
Period blank.
Point blank, period. That's one
Yeah.
thing. But if for whatever reason I feel like, you know, and I wouldn't do this, that, maybe Coop's not meant for this, whatever, whatever. This other person is, I would never go out there publicly. You know what I'm saying? Telling people not to support you. I wouldn't do that.
Right.
And the
It's not
fact
like,
that
how
people
about
like
this,
Big
Mike?
Sean and John Legend, who he made,
Right.
did that,
So,
that's
Mike,
unforgivable. And
so
Talib does that on certain levels too. So I think that's why he got it. Go
So,
ahead. I'm
Mike,
sorry.
so let's say somebody in the hip hop sphere would offer me something different, but it would not conflict with according to hip hop. And as soon as I would get to that level and move over to that entity, I would immediately start like telling people like, yo, you really shouldn't fuck with according to hip hop like that, you know?
Right.
Like that's essentially what they're doing. And so I want people to understand that Ye is actually doing what we often don't do with other men of power and position when they do stuff like this. Now, for the most part, I believe some things should be handled behind the scenes, Mike. But when it's this blatant and
They
this
didn't
flagrant,
handle it behind the scenes.
hold on, and this disrespectful, I want you to understand
Yeah.
that, like, I mean, and he called it like, and Mike, you and I, somebody called into, not called in, somebody, in one of the comments one time, one of the shows asked us what we thought about Common. Mike, we was both over here with the Rock Nation brunch post, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because we feel the way Ye feel about it. Like, man, these dudes over here jumping through hoops and rings for these, like, for,
And
you
you know
know,
what? This is my problem with Common. I'm gonna just be 100, man. Like, I didn't like the fact that you were out here jumping up and down at these Biden rallies and stuff while your man is on the ballot. While the person who put you in position to be right here, to the fact that they're giving you this bag to be jumping up and down at this rally, is on the ballot. And then on top of that, the biggest part is when people do have public gripes about the current administration, you're silent. You know what I'm
Mike,
saying? Don't do that. That's whack.
Mike, before Common made B to the masses, he was that cool rapper that made the light.
Yeah.
Masses.
I don't even think a lot of them even recognize him from the line. I think I said this in our review of his album. I was dating a girl at the time, she was a year older than me. She thought B was Common's first album. So I'm just saying, like, heads knew who Common was like that, but on a mainstream level, like my mom knows who Common is now. That's because of Kanye. You know what I'm
Mom
saying? Like
knows
straight
Common is
up.
now too. Ye got everything to do with that.
Everything.
Everything.
And the fact that these guys, for whatever reason, and obviously somebody's pulling their strings, will publicly go against him, that's whack. I don't care how you slice it. And I don't really like Big Sean's response either,
Hey,
where
hey,
he talking
hey,
about Kanye owes him $6 million and he talking about some, well, I seen you the other day, you didn't say
hey,
any of that. You know what
now,
you've done. You don't have to
now,
say
hold on.
anything.
Now, hold on. Now, Mike, if this was some street shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I know these dudes is foul because it's like, oh, well, if like y'all some real industry ass, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you be getting your ass handled out here about that, right? That type of disloyalty, that type of blatant disloyalty, like publicly, and then saying the man owe you money. Oh no, that'll
That's
get you
whack.
fucked up out here. That'll get you.
Brian Blinker says, so y'all wanted Kanye as president? That's not what I'm saying.
That's not what we're
I
saying.
listen.
We're talking about supporting somebody the way that they supported you.
I got a good friend who ran for city council the other day. Childhood friend Ty Gray. Shout out to you, man. He didn't win, but of course I support it. That's my, what I'm saying. I know him personally.
Right.
So what am I gonna do? Somebody I know personally, not support them and go support somebody that just reached out to me because they think that I could get them votes? That's whack. I'm sorry. It is. No matter
So,
how you slice it.
right. So let's jump to something right quick while we're right there. Kanye spoke to why Black Wall Street will never happen. Well, John Legend and Big Sean and Common are why.
Exactly.
Because hold on, because no matter, because here's what I mean. Because there's an underlying tension here. Oh, well, them three dudes combined, no matter how big they are, they not yay. And they obviously got a problem with that. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the three of them should have got behind him, because that's how you build stuff. And that's why he spoke to why the Jewish community thrives the way it does. He's like, oh, they don't have to like each other, anything, like to do business and to build it and to make it grow. You don't hear about no Jewish social. He's like, they'll talk shit about each other. They're not about to kill each other.
This man had enough resources to actually get on the ballot.
Think
to
about
actually
that.
get on the, like, of all the people in the whole United States, there's only a few people, a handful of people that have the resources and the ability to make it on the ballot. Your mans, who you know personally, you spent time with, have had conversations with, personal conversations. Like he said with Big Sean, I know his mom. Like, you know what I mean? And you're not only not going to support that, but you're going against it? Wow, man. So what? How is he supposed to feel about that?
And in the process, I want you to understand, you're making yourself look like a fool in your own community. We see how you jumping. We don't like it. We don't respect it. And so then it makes me sit back and say, well, damn, Kanye ain't crazy at all after all.
And you know what I was thinking about
these
too?
Dudes are doing. They're making me realize, no, this dude ain't crazy at all. Y'all niggas is crazy. How about that?
It seems to always be like that in entertainment. The one that they say is crazy really wasn't crazy at all. It's everybody else.
Just look at it on a fundamental level. That's what I'm saying. Like, take the music business out of this, take the politics out of it, and just put these dudes in the street and tell me that plays.
It doesn't.
It don't.
It doesn't.
So it's wrong.
You know, speaking to one of your points, and I want to respond to this before I forget. And it kind of reminded me of that statement he made about LeBron James. You know, you work that hard so you can go give this white woman a trophy, and said that, you know what, Jeannie Buss, we did this for you. Here's your trophy. And it's like, it made me think, Michael Jordan is the only black owner in all of pro sports. Why aren't these guys kicking everybody over to join up over there in Charlotte to win a championship over there for the only black owner in sports? It's odd to me. No one goes to Charlotte. They never get number one picks. Nothing. It's crazy.
So listen, Mike, this is why I said if this wasn't the best interview ever, it was one of them, because it had probably been since the Tupac interview, and you can go pick one, one that I heard somebody speak from the hip hop community that was saying things that was making me take a step back and think, and that was probably the thing that made me think the most. And I love that he said that he hated it.
Yeah.
It made me, and so all these things that you're posing right now, I was having those same thoughts.
And the fact that I'm listening to the interview
about, like, hold on, like, he's making a very strong point, because look at how much power, wealth, and influence LeBron has. And then, you know, because I think he was kind of trying to expose the mentality.
Right.
You know, and it's like, ooh, I'm like, that's dangerous.
It's like, and then he exposed the mentality and the fact that it's King James. LeBron's a king. So it's like, how are you, I don't want to say how are you a king, but you know what I mean. Like, this is a guy who is probably the most influential, most powerful, and most wealthy in the league, and he still has to give it up.
Right, we're calling you King James, but you're looking like Sir Lancelot when you hand her the trophy.
Yeah, especially when there's options, right? Like, Kanye's putting his money where his mouth is. That's why he's partnering up with Ice Cube and the Big Three. I love that concept. Why aren't more people getting behind that? Why more black players aren't getting behind what LeVar Ball's doing? I think what LeVar Ball's doing is great. That's forward thinking. He's building a league where these guys have an option outside of college. He's forced college to somewhat pay these guys, because even that's some BS, because they're taking crazy percentages. And he also forced the G League to start paying these guys. Well, not start paying these guys, but start, drafting from the G League. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, so I want to kind of stay on like the economic part of like Ye's empowerment. So one of my big takeaways from watching the interview was this, that Ye's mentality and mind frame and unwillingness to compromise. I can't think, and obviously financial wealth and resources being a big, big determining factor in all this, but why are we not getting behind Kanye and building more if he really is talking this way? Do people not trust Kanye? Do people not think it's going to go this way? Because he was talking.
I'll tell you why.
No, he was talking in a manner that really made me think like, yo, this guy really is in a position right now to build something truly great for us. And it appears that he wants to, and it appears that he's already taking steps to do so. Why are we not getting behind him?
And he's doing interviews like this to try to galvanize people even more to help him in those efforts. Albert Jackson says, bro, you guys couldn't be more wrong on this. All right, well, what exactly do you think we're wrong about? And, please expand upon that so we could talk it out. But
yeah, don't give us a generalized statement. Like, give us some specifics so that we can, offer some further perspective and rebuttal.
Yeah, definitely. What was I gonna say before you said that? But you're completely right as far as what he's building. Oh, I wanted to answer why people aren't getting behind him, because the media trashes Kanye. They say he's nuts. And it's like anybody. We saw this with Michael Jackson when Michael Jackson was out here basically running music publishing wise, right? And doing unprecedented deals. He's broke, he's crazy, he's this and that. You drop dead and it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he amassed all this wealth and yada, yada. Because when Michael Jackson was living, there was all kind of media stories about his financial issues. I remember he called in the Steve Harvey show in the early 2000s. Very odd pairing there, but, I'm sure they knew each other off, behind the scenes or whatnot. And Steve was asking, like, man, how are you doing financially? Like, and Michael Jackson's like, I'm fine, Steve. Of course
Mike, Mike, you understand that we talking about Michael Jackson having financial problems, and we talking about a dude that can probably walk into any room in his house and put a sticker on a piece of art that's in the room that would take him out of trouble if he were to ever be in trouble, which he was never in. That shit is crazy.
It's insane. I mean, because even when he was doing the This Is It, right? They were paying him some crazy amount, like $6 million a show or something. And I'm like, you don't pay a broke person that. You don't pay a broke person that. But see, when you put it out there in the media, people will believe anything. And that's the first thing they do. They tear down at your character. And, and when they say you're broke, then it kind of reflects on you being irresponsible. And so, yeah, I mean, we've seen this before. But, yeah, to answer your question, that's why a lot of people aren't getting behind Kanye. And I feel like it has to be a concerted effort from whoever is paying a Big Sean or a John Legend especially. They can't go out there and side with Kanye on anything. And that's such a shame because he put you here.
But don't they understand that Kanye can pay them that now? That's what I'm saying. Don't you understand Ye can pay you that?
It's different, I guess.
It's different for them because of their mentality, which is part of what keeps this community crippled. Okay.
You're right. Because obviously it's different for Pusha T. You know what I'm saying? He don't have these issues.
Because he don't think different. Because you want to know what? Because Ye said something, and I'm glad you said something, Mike, because he said something, and this goes to Pusha T and the hustler that he is, you know what I mean, in real life and in music, or in past life and in music, I should say. Well, Ye talked about how, no, I'll pay you $300. I'm going to pay you $150 right now and see what you do for 6 months, and then we'll revisit the conversation. Oh, a hustler going to take that and run with that, and in 6 months, if you putting $150 in my account today and telling me that if I do what I need to do, in 6 months you putting another $150 in my account, well, let's go, because that's how a hustler thinks. And so really, they're showing how much the fame has gotten to them too, Mike.
Mm-hmm. I mean, all of these people that he spoke on, it's more of an indictment on their practices than, I mean, because, and I hate that Big Sean is really, coming out in this way, because it's making him look even worse, man. All you got to do is say, man, you know what, my bad. What up?
Mike, to say it, Mike, we already knew about Common and John Legend. You and me been roasting them for years, in person, in
Listen,
private.
man.
Like,
I mean, the John Legend one, I'm sure I could only imagine that one hurts. Because,
yeah,
dude, nobody was working with you.
I mean,
He literally
we want to
made.
talk about,
Listen,
man.
I've seen. Well, I wasn't there. I know Ron has this story. He always
Look,
tells when he went and saw Kanye at Earthlink Live back in the day. This is like a small venue in Atlanta. He said that John Legend was in line with them. You know what I'm saying? And Kanye came out the back door like, "Yo, he's good. He with me," type thing. They go back like that. You know what I'm
so,
saying? In those early demos and all of that, it's like, dude, really? You gonna change up on him?
man, Mike, it's one thing to tap dance for 3 minutes. It's another thing when, like, you doing a whole stage show now. Like, you
He
get what I'm
gave him his
saying?
name, Coop. He gave him the John Legend. Kanye gave him his name.
This shit crazy, man.
It is crazy, man.
They don't look good, and I feel bad for Big Sean because it's like he got grouped with Common and John Legend yesterday, and I don't mean that in no nice way. I don't mean that in no nice way.
He deserved it though. He deserved it. I'm sorry, man. He deserved it because I looked at him kind of funny when he was out there really pushing for a vote, and he was kind of putting those notions out there, don't let people throw off the vote. Who are you talking about?
Well, this is what I mean. It's like, okay, and so let's speak to something right quick about Big Sean. And it kind of probably applies to Common and John Legend, too, in their respective cities. I was with my homie. His lady is from Detroit. And so she hopped in my whip. And I was like, you want to hear some Detroit shit? I was like, Big Sean just dropped an EP. And she got quiet. I was like, you ain't fucking with Sean like that, huh?
Yeah.
She was like, he ain't really Detroit to y'all, is he? She was like, nah, he not really Detroit to us. And I was like, you want me to put that boldy on? She was like, yeah, put the boldy on.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, because let's keep it real, man. I don't think Big Sean, based on the MC and the market that Detroit is, or the MCs that Detroit has, that he would have been able to make that local buzz to that level. Because Detroit MCs don't really, make it out and have that mainstream success that he has. That's all Kanye, man. We got to give it to him. Alvin Jackson says, I guess he was giving us the reason why he disagreed. So you got to be kidding me. Kanye was wearing a MAGA hat. His politics with a death sentence to the black. What exactly were his politics? The MAGA hat was the MAGA hat, but
I'll say, what politics did he stand on that was the death of black people exactly? Because although I do not agree with him wearing a MAGA hat, what I do see is a man with an overall vision. And I hate to be the one to just kind of point this out, even though he already did. Well, this current administration that the black community supported and got behind, they're not doing themselves any motherfucking favors right now. I cannot be more clear in stating that. And so just their failures right now don't make that hat look as bad. And we cannot understate that. And we're not about to gloss that over and make it seem like that's not happening.
It's the truth. It's the truth, man. It's this whole
pride in Kanye wearing this hat right now, if you're really paying attention. You feel me?
Are we talking about a hat or are we talking about policies? Because if we want to talk about policies, we could talk about all kind of destructive things that the current administration is involved with and has been involved with.
Supported. You got me and Mike talking at the same time. This shit wild.
Yeah, man. I mean, if we want to talk about policies, we could talk about a lot of things that the current administration is involved in, has been involved in, and has a career of doing as it pertains to the destruction of black people, if we want to talk that. But that's not what we're here to do. But do your own research when it comes to that, and it's deeper than a hat, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But if you want to talk about specific policies, all I heard was a brother who was out here who has the resources and has the means and has the network and the net worth out here trying to build for black people. And if all we can see is a hat, we need to look a little bit deeper. And again, that's part of our problem.
What other people from our community, the stature of Kanye, has this administration sat down with?
This is my thing, and I didn't even think we were gonna go here, but since somebody brought up the MAGA hat and all that, I think we should.
I don't like that hat.
I don't either. But the thing is, man, like, the man. I know a lot of people have a problem with the fact that he went to the White House and sat down with Trump. Well, Dr. King went to the White House and sat down with a racist, Lyndon Johnson, to get things changed, right? But I don't like this mentality, and I think Ebro was, talking about this, that we're not going to go to the White House because I think he wanted Kaepernick to go with him, right? I mean, we can agree to disagree, whatever. I don't understand the mentality of not actually going to the White House to sit down in front of the commander in chief. That doesn't make sense. If we're sitting out here protesting for anything, right? Or you want something done, I mean, you're going to have to talk to the president, regardless if you like that president or not. If you get an open invitation, okay,
So, Mike,
that's what you got
right.
to do,
So, Mike, if a sports team wants to make a choice to not go, or
That's
members
different.
don't want to go, that's different.
They're
But,
not going up there to talk about anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing is like, if you're looking at Kanye and you're mad at him because he went to the White House, oh, well, plenty of rappers have been up in the White House by now. I mean, starting with Easy. So
Yeah.
what really this is more about is that I guess when Kanye was doing that, we really didn't know where Kanye stood.
Yeah.
And so he could have done a better job and should have done a better job about clarifying that. And Mike, I still don't think he's totally clarified that. That's why when I'm saying like, well, what are Ye's politics exactly?
Well, I think his thing was
because he appears to be somebody, and this, I mean, and I hate to break it to people, this is more of a Republican thought than a Democratic one, based on today's political current format. It appears he's into like empowerment and building and branding, and those are things that more align with conservative politics, to be quite frank.
Yeah, and I think that his politics are what he was up there talking to Trump about. Because I remember looking at the video and everything. It was more so about infrastructure and building, right? Him or not, Trump is a builder. That's how he got his billions. So
that's what I was about to
who
say.
better to talk to about you trying to build factories and create jobs in America for your fashion empire than the president, who is actually a builder. And again, if we backtrack again with the whole Sway interview and all that, what his gripes were during those rants was his lack of access to resources that other fashion designers had.
Okay, so hold on.
So I think that was what his whole, sidestep over there was about. Well, and it sounds like those issues were solved.
Well, this is what I'm saying about, well, he may be not as looking as crazy today, because when he's saying the things that he's saying, about his counterparts, John Legend and Common and all of them, and how the Democrats, and then it makes you think, well, it's like, well, why didn't the Democrats sit down with Kanye before Trump did anyway, if this was Kanye's agenda? See, they didn't take him seriously. He sat down, because now I'm realizing, he sat down with who took him seriously, and I don't have to like it or agree with it, because I'm not, you're not in Ye's position of doing the things that he's trying to do, and so it doesn't look good. I'm going to give him a little bit more credence than I did. I just don't agree with the man that he chose to sit down with and the politics of the man just in general. So that's where my problem lies. Is just the man is just the worst person to ever hold office, and just, IQ level is so, I could go on and on. So I don't agree, but I can see some things, and I can see what he's trying to do,
I agree with you 100%.
If this administration would sit down with him, he put on a blue hat probably. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly. But really though, Coop, and I think that's what people don't understand on a larger level. That's what politics is about. I'll support you, you support me. That's what it is. And I agree with you on the fact that, people might not like who he sat down with, but honestly, why do I like me as a black man in America? Why would I have an affinity to any of the presidents that have held office? And if we can answer that question in a real way, with other than the fact that we like the way a person smiled and some of the shit that they said, like, let's be real with ourselves. At this point, it's an exchange, right? If you can do this for us, then all right, cool, whatever. And then continue to do it. And if you don't continue to do it, we're going to get somebody else in there who will do it. And that's what it's got to be.
Right. And also understand how frivolous our political system is. In the 1920s, The Republicans and Democratic parties, as we know them now, the Republicans used to have the policies that the Democrats have and the black vote and vice versa.
Yeah.
There were three consecutive Republican presidents in the 1920s that were in office whose economic policies led to our Great Depression. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who is a Republican, who comes from a Republican family, ran as a Democrat, has a political move to switch things up.
They still do it though, Coop. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. So
Bloomberg just did it.
Hat, when he's putting on the red hat, it's like, oh man, these dudes done flipped hats so many times. You need to know your history, and that's why I was like, I want to know what his politics are. I just don't like who he chose to sit down with because of the things that are going to come forward just from that sit down without a clear plan of action.
Mayor Bloomberg in New York, he was a sitting mayor in New York as an independent, as a Democrat, and as a Republican, and then went and ran for office as a Democrat. So let's not get caught up in all those things. Who's going to do something? And is your plan to do something going to benefit your group? That's it.
Name of the game is power and money, Mike. They care less about this than the people that they get entrenched and engulfed in.
You're right. And that's what I try to tell people too. You're sitting here getting all fired up about it. They don't care about you. They're all going in the back room, shaking hands with each other, laughing it up.
Mike, like when I found out that Judge Scalia and Ruth Bader Ginsburg were friends and their children knew each other, I was like, oh.
This is WWF, baby.
I was like, what? I was like, RBG over here chilling with Scalia. I'm like, really?
All right, they said, let's get back to the music, man. Yeah. People are getting all bent out of shape.